The good news about last season was we still had
Go.
a great install.
What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bain coming to you live right here at the compound, my crib, man. Just got back from a 7-day cruise, had an absolute amazing time with a lot of family out there, man. Glad to be back, getting back to this rubbing and grubbing. As you guys know, rubbing is racing, grubbing is tasting. We are going no script today, man. This is just going to be me talking, getting into here we are, final race there at Phoenix today, Championship 4, man, and just recapping a little bit of Martinsville, man. So I tell you what an amazing race there at Martinsville. Didn't really get to watch much of it. Got to see some highlights, kind of kept up with it. Kind of a bittersweet thing for me in the fact that I had the 11 car in our game of skill up there at Coach's Corner and Thunderbolt, man. And man, I tell you, I thought I had it wrapped up, but Alex the Showman Bowman proved me wrong, man, and put a little bumper to him and went out and got the win. So congratulations to him. And man, I tell you what, I hope you guys are going to have a great race day out there this Sunday, man. If you're looking for a place to watch the race, make sure you go check it out up there at Coach's. They got a lot of NFL going on, as always, on Sundays, man. A lot of other sports as well, but you can believe they're going to have that championship race on. But, man, I tell you what, I'm just so stoked that my man Chase Elliott made it in. I've called it out since pretty much the beginning of the season, man. I think it's just going to be a back-to-back championship run for Elliott. I see the consistency that he's had. He's been so close over the last few weeks, y'all. I mean, we've been sitting there watching him be out front and just something going wrong, whether it be somebody getting into him or a little bit of the wrong, pit call or, just not having that better car, but just still there being, up there able to compete for those wins week in and week out. It's led me to believe that they're going to bring the A game today, going to show you what he's really all about. And I can tell you one thing that I have learned about this young kid is he does not fold under pressure, not in the slightest amount. So if the nerves are getting to other drivers, the nerves are definitely not going to get to Chase Elliott today. The keys to it, there again, got to maintain that track position, out front, getting to start out front. And then also on top of that, man, no bad pit stops. We cannot have any kind of bad pit stops today. Just got to have a clean race, man, and hopefully they've got good enough equipment there to put them at the end. And if you've been keeping up, we had practice and we had qualifying, for this race here. So it's going to be a little bit different. These guys got a little bit of seat time in the car, kind of got them to get dialed in a little bit for their liking and maybe see where they start compared to where this race ends. But I tell you what, I think the four guys that are in there for sure after Martinsville, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Martin Truex, I tell you what, those are four really good race car drivers that are going to go out and give everything they got today. Not only to win that championship, but also put on that show out here for us fans, man, watching from home. So, big round of applause for NASCAR and everything they're doing. Read an article out there on NASCAR.com. You guys should definitely check out. It's kind of on the new resurgence of NASCAR. I grew up in the generation where NASCAR was one of the biggest sports in the country. I mean, we had, we have NASCAR tracks out there that held more people than, Super Bowl stadiums at one point, man. So let that soak in and on how big the sport was there through the early to mid to later 90s. So I've said it. If you guys have been watching Rubbin' and Grubbin', I've said it numerous times. I think that the youth movement in the sport has done nothing but help. I also think that the style of racing that we're doing now with the stage races that kind of groups everybody back up and at least a little bit of action a couple times during a race also helps. And there again, I think that the talent throughout the sport and how deep we are as far as the way that these guys race and what these guys do week in and week out, the talent's deeper. We went from having 10, now we're at 16, maybe 17 guys that can go out and win this race. And I tell you what, I think with this next gen car and what NASCAR's done, it's going to tighten the field up for a couple of years, I think. I think you're going to see some guys get some first wins out there. Other guys that normally don't contend up front are going to contend up front. But as we all know, money talks and bullshit walks. And I don't have my swear bucket, but I owe $1 here next week. At the end of the day, these big organizations are going to hire the engineers and find a way to, make their equipment just that much better than everybody else's. And that's kind of the name of the game in motorsports. So nothing wrong there. But a little bit of wrong I do want to talk about, and I don't think it would be an episode of Rubbin' and Grubbin' if we don't get it down, would definitely be the Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski stuff from Martinsville, man. Kyle Busch and his comments, he's always got his comments. He's always got things to say. and at the end of the day, it's a racing deal. I mean, they're out there to race, whether it be for second or for first, or second does this or does that, get you in or not. At the end of the day, man, you got to look at it like this. Let's say something happened to that first place car and it failed inspection. And Keselowski got that second place compared to him. And hey, man, he'd be in the playoffs. So, you always got to keep that in mind. You always got to keep in mind exactly what it is that you got going on, and always keep in mind that this is racing. These guys get paid to go out and race to put their sponsors ahead of the other sponsors. And if Kyle Busch is upset of any places at Martinsville to get bumped and moved the way he got moved in the last turn, last lap, come on, man. I mean, there again, I've been saying it the whole time. I'm so tired of the antics. He feels like everybody out there owes him something because his name's Kyle Busch, man. Look, at the end of the day, it's not like Hank Aaron went out and played baseball and everybody owed him something because his name was Hank Aaron, right? He went out there and performed, did the job to the best of his ability with the highest of characters, and carried himself in a great manner to lead the youth in different directions and inspire kids instead of, being probably one of the most talented race car drivers that have come across the scene in NASCAR history, period. We'll definitely say in the last 20 years. But to go out and be able to have the talent that you do have, but not use that platform in a positive way, to me, it's just hurtful. And I know he does a lot of positive things. Don't get me wrong, a lot of charity work and a lot of different things he does. I'm not going to take that away from the man. But what I am going to take away from him is in the fact that here we are, and you have a sponsor, as I've said numerous times, is M&M's. This is a kid-friendly sponsor, man. So, the youth that is in NASCAR that are 18 fans, man, they're out there rocking the M&M gear, loving eating peanut M&Ms all the time. And at the end of the day, you're representing more than just yourself or your brand or your company, man. You're representing a youth movement in the sport. These guys that are watching it and love the way that you drive and are able to showcase your talent behind the wheel, these kids look up to you. And there again, he's got a son as well. So, these boys and girls are out there and they find a guy that they look up to and they like, and it's Kyle Busch. I mean, I think it's just something that we need to look at, and the way that he carries himself, especially with the young eyes on him. If we're all adults and watching it, we can all have our opinions, which we all know what opinions are like, right? We say, I'm sure you've heard that before. So, I can have my opinion. It's easy behind the camera. It's a lot harder when you're actually out there putting in the time and the effort of what he is. And he's a competitor. I get it. But at the end of the day, some of the comments that he made, my question is, when's NASCAR going to finally have enough? It doesn't only go from the comments that we're making in these post-race, interviews that they do, to articles that are written. It's also the things on track, man. I mean, we saw him bump, a pace car there at New Hampshire or wherever it was early in the year when there was rain on the track and they started the race, and him and Truex both spun off into 1 and 2 and wrecked. I hate it, man. That was two great race cars, maybe winning race cars. They got wrecked out very early. I hate it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, But to go on and say the things and bump the pace car the way you do there, and we're so big on safety throughout the sport now, there's a lot of things that got to change. And I mean, sensitivity training is one thing, and I know NASCAR has pretty much said that's got to happen, but that's not going to stop a guy like Kyle Busch. It's just not. He's out there to win every race, and if he doesn't win, he cries and complains, and then everybody else, the emotions get the better of him. He can't control his emotions, as most of us adults have to do. So I'm just wondering when enough's going to be enough, and maybe we're going to start losing some sponsors like M&M's. Interstate Battery is really not that big of a deal. The NOS Energy, not really that big of a deal. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, those are all kind of more adult things. But M&M's, I can't foresee them taking a guy like Kyle Busch and staying with him forever or much longer, and maybe unless that's just what M&M's is. But I could be wrong, man. But moving on from that, moving right into a little bit more drama. Man, when you look at it, think about Denny Hamlin's comments about Alex Bowman. That was one thing that really upset me. You just got to look at it like this. We're all out there to race these cars. We're all out there to win the race. So it doesn't matter if you're a championship driver or if you're out of the championship and you're running your own race. You are there to win that race for your sponsor. That's what you sign a contract to do. And honestly, that's what you have in your heart as a race car driver, to win those races. So for Denny Hamlin to kind of there again, show his frustration and kind of put Alex Bowman on blast, using words like a hack. I look at it like this. If a hack in the sport nowadays is 4 wins in a season, man, like Rick Hendrick, say, give me all of them. But at the end of the day, Alex Bowman paid his dues in this sport. He was never awarded, that big equipment coming right out of the gate as a Denny Hamlin was. So he definitely earned it and paid his dues, man. I think for anybody, you want to talk about being humble, Alex Bowman's probably the most humble guy out there because he knows what it feels like to be on the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. And Denny Hamlin hasn't quite experienced that through his career. So, and on another note, I mean, Denny Hamlin was also one of these guys back in the day that would move somebody to get a win or move somebody to do something that they felt like they needed to do. We saw that a couple years ago when Chase Elliott was still a few years ago when Elliott was in the 24 car. Denny Hamlin had no problem moving them then. So I think a lot of things get forgotten about as you get older in your career, as the Kevin Harvicks and as the Denny Hamlins, and then you have a lot to say about these younger guys that are still hungry and willing to go out and ruffle a few fellers to get a win or to get a spot or to gain a position or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, it's racing. So, I think they forget they really need to think back in their careers because both of those guys have made some moves, as did the Gordons and as did Earnhardt and as did any other really good championship race car or driver out there, Tony Stewart, et cetera, et cetera. That's just part of racing. Now blatantly going out and wrecking a guy, that's a little bit different. Last lap, last type stuff, laps winding down, you don't know when you're going to have another shot. And I know a lot of folks are going to watch this and go back and go, well, wait a minute, with Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott, you were kind of biased and went the other way. I just think it's a little bit different when you own what you do compared to blaming somebody else. So you go out, you pancake a guy at Bristol on the inside, which we all know that Bristol on the inside is not the way to go now. You pancake the guy, he cuts a tire down. Okay, eye for an eye. Yeah, you did the move. That's a racing move. Well, when Elliott comes back out and holds you up, guess what? That's a racing move too. You could easily moved him again if you wanted to. But, we can keep going for days on the drama that we've had in the last 4 or 5 weeks. But that just goes to show how much this championship means to all these drivers out there. And I definitely want to give a big shout out and a round of applause to all 40 plus guys that qualified for Cup Series races, Xfinity races, Truck Series races. I tell you what, man, they have put on an amazing show. Don't know if anybody out there's caught the trucks or have caught that Xfinity race last night, but I tell you that Xfinity race was one for the ages for sure there at the finish. Had to have the cautions come out and had to have certain things fall certain ways to line them back up for these restarts. But I tell you what, big congrats to Daniel Hemrick, man, over there in that Joe Gibbs equipment. I think he did a phenomenal job. He did what pretty much you have to do. This is a championship run. It is time to go out and win a championship. And if, roughing up a guy next to you takes that, go ahead and take it, man, because that opportunity might not ever happen again in your career. So something to keep in mind today when we go in Phoenix. Read an article, all gloves are off. Hendricks and Gibbs, man. We got Denny Hamlin and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. there for Joe Gibbs Racing. Going to go out and try to, energize that organization there into next year with a championship. Keep that momentum rolling from what they've been doing and see if they can bring it home for Gibbs, Toyotas. And then you got 2 Hendrick guys over there in the Chevrolets, man, that are also teammates that are going to go out here and give it everything. But I love the comments from everybody. All gloves are off, man. The teammate thing's out the window. This is one last race, one opportunity to go out and get that championship. And there's only 2 guys in the field that have one, and that's going to be Martin Truex Jr. and that's also Chase Elliott. So Kyle Larson and a veteran in Denny Hamlin still yet to find that championship, man. So, whoever wins it today, it's going to be a big congratulations from Atlanta, man, just because I love the sport. I am biased. As I said, I did call it early in the year. I really hope Chase Elliott goes out and gets that win and wins back-to-back championships. I'm going to hate to see it for Kyle Larson when you see a guy that has 9 wins and won the All-Star race and $1 million there and dominated pretty much all of the season. If he does not come out and win this championship, I'm going to hate it for him. I love the guy. I think he's an amazing asset, not only to Hendrick Motorsports to go out and win in that 5 car, but also, NASCAR in a whole. He's had his history. He's paid his dues on that end, and he's coming back out and showing you really what kind of talent he is. And the good things that he also does is being a human being and learning from the mistakes. I mean, that's what we all have to do. We all wake up every day hoping that today is better than yesterday, and learning, because if you're not learning, you're falling behind, man. So at the end of the day, really hope it's just a great, amazing race here at Phoenix. I think it's going to be. But the one thing I will say that's interesting is since these playoffs have started, man, we have not had a guy outside of that championship 4 win this race. So it's going to be very interesting to see today if that streak comes to an end. As we know as sports fans, man, all streaks and records are made to be broken in some sense, man. So it's got to happen at some point in time. Could today be the day? If you want my top 5, you're pretty much going to find those 4 playoff drivers in the top 4, just because of how many weeks of preparation, whether they're in or out, that these guys have known. They're going to bring it their A game today. They're definitely going to do some really good things. So there again, number 1 on that list has got to be the man, the myth, the future legend, Chase Elliott himself. Man, I tell you what, the kid's come on the scene, paid his dues also, cool as ice, man. I tell you, he never shows that much emotion, on the racetrack per se, and small things that happen to him throughout the race. He always seems to find a way to battle back. Another good thing about Elliott is he always takes care of his equipment. So even if he has really good equipment in the beginning, and doesn't want to press for that race lead or doesn't want to run it hard, he'll kind of sit on it, man, because at the end of the day, the first, 250 laps of this race aren't going to matter. It's going to be the last 10 to 15 to 20. That last stage, that last part of this race is really where you need your call dialed in and coming on, man. So if he can hold that equipment maintained, there again, no pit penalties, did it good by passing pre-race inspection compared to the other 3. The other 3 failed twice, lost a crew chief, not their crew chief, but a chief engineer on all 3 of those teams got fined and kicked out for the weekend. So Elliott did do good there, but there again, no mistakes on pit road for any of these guys. It's going to be very hard to get this track position back today, but I tell you what, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be wild, man. 2020 championship race there at Phoenix starts 3 o'clock. I've went up, pre-gamed a little bit with the wifey up there at coaches, man. Didn't have on my rubbing and grubbing in my Chase Elliott gear. I had to pull for my Bulldogs, man, after putting that whooping on Missouri, and hadn't got to talk about it yet. But what about that whooping we put on them Gators too, man? Definitely cut their tails off and sent them right back down there to Gainesville and set them up for easy eats last night against South Carolina, man. So I tell you what, Bulldogs are looking good. My Braves won the World Series, man. We're chopping on. We're crying, man. I tell you what, I'm glad I got to see it again in my lifetime. I think it's something you're going to see numerous more times here in the next 10 years. I would say the Braves at least get 1, maybe 2 more. But I tell you what, man, at the end of the day, nothing sweeter than for the number 1 guy, Chase Elliott, to bring home another championship yet back to Georgia there, up there in Dawsonville. So number 1 on the list today is going to be, Chase Elliott, man, little Bill Elliott there from my Uncle King, if he's watching out there. But number 2 for me, I tell you what, it's going to surprise some folks. It's not going to be who you would expect it to be. It's going to be the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. The guy's been there numerous times yet to seal the deal. Today could be the day for that 11 car, and kind of put him in a different category in the record books when that career's over. But I tell you what, as of right now, he is yet to get it done. Don't think he's going to beat the 9, but I do put him in 2. 3 for me, Kyle Larson. I hate to say it, I just do not think that Kyle Larson is going to win this championship. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and hey, I'll admit I'm wrong, and I'll love it just the same. Maybe not quite as much as the Chase Elliott one, but stays in Hendrick, and I feel like the right guy that showed the domination throughout the year won the championship. So with that being said, a couple things about the 5. I mean, he's led so many laps this year, over 2,000 laps, 9 wins. I don't know when the last time was we saw an all-out domination season like we did with this. We can say Kevin Harvick winning 9 and Hamlin 7 and this and that, but there again, you had multiple guys out there with 9, 7, 5 race wins. This year has been a little bit different. We saw a lot of different winners, but the only guy that has really launched himself on another category is definitely Kyle Larson. And if you go back and look at Atlanta, 289 plus laps led, lost to Ryan Blaney. The first race at Pocono, turns around, final turn, final lap, blows the tire, finishes ninth. So there's 2 wins right there. 3, Circus of the Americas, man, the cautions fell, for Chase Elliott to call the race in the rain. And had it not, the 5 car was in position to win that after leading a good majority of it as well. So there's 3. We could easily be talking about a 12-13 win season for Kyle Larson just through the domination and the equipment, not only that Rick Hendrick has provided, but also the connection between him and Cliff Daniels. So it's definitely something you're going to have to keep an eye on here when we move into the future. And if you're out there watching, you don't have a favorite driver, if it's not going to be Chase Elliott, I highly recommend going and getting on that 5 camp. Just a very historic number and just a very, very talented driver behind the wheel. So definitely keep an eye out for him third today. 4 for me there again has got to be Martin Truex Jr. starting the furthest back out of all these playoff drivers. I definitely think they'll find a way to get up front and contend with these guys. But at the end of the day, just not maybe necessarily the season that I think they expected, especially for the way it started and getting rolling to a pretty hot start there. I would expect him to have a couple more wins after what we've seen the last couple seasons compared to what he does this year. But that just tells you what a new year brings in the sport and how close and how much guys that weren't doing as good the year before draw the field back in, reel them back in. So there again, got to look out for Martin Truex Jr. Had a few good race wins, was consistently quiet all season. I mean, not quite as good as Denny Hamlin, but a very good runs there for a while. Not getting a lot of praise or a lot of mention through a lot of media outlets and a lot of different things. But yet again, he finds himself with as good an opportunity, a 25% chance, man, to go out there and win a championship. He's got as good a shot as any of the other 3. And there again, I don't think there's a nicer guy again in the sport, in the likes of the Alex Bowmans and how humble that Martin Truex Jr. is. There again, winning a couple Xfinity Series championships coming in, having some good equipment, kind of falling out, getting back in with the single car team, and going out and doing what he does and winning the championship there and it folding and having the opportunity over there at Gibbs and really showcasing what talent he's had in the sport for many years and some really good equipment. But not only as a race car driver, Martin Truex is, but also as the person, the human being he is. Definitely, as we all know, his longtime partner or wife, as it has cancer, has had cancer and stuck with her through that and being able to go out and do what you do as a race car driver with something that is light years above what the importance of winning a race is, when you have your significant other, your best friend, your soul partner, your life partner out there for the fight of her life. So big kudos to him on that too. And like I said, if he went out and won today, would not be upset with that one bit. Anybody, Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick are out of it. So, hey, we don't have to worry about either one of them winning and me being upset about it at all, man. But 5 for me, I tell you what, here's a guy we'll throw on a little radar list, man. And I actually got him this week up at coaches, and that's half the reason he's going to make the list. I got to sprinkle some good juju over there on the 2 camp of Brad Keselowski. Man, I tell you what, let's see if he can come out here and get it done to Phoenix today. We saw him have a really good run there at Martinsville, kind of an off year for him. And I don't think it has anything necessarily to do with the news being broke about him leaving Penske for Roush. Roger Penske is a very smart businessman, and Brad Keselowski is a very smart race car driver and a businessman as well. And, I think Roger Penske would have loved to keep Brad Keselowski in the 2. But what Brad Keselowski was asking for in the stake in Penske and this and that just wasn't going to line out with Roger Penske, and that wasn't going to happen. So it was best for both of them just to kind of go their own way and continue the career. And as you saw last night, I tell you what, the 2 car of the Miller Lite and that 2 car in Penske is going to get a really good race car driver there with Austin Cindric next year. I think he's proven his talent over the past couple of years. I think there again, as we see with a lot of these young guys that come up, it is very few and far between. You find a young guy that gets behind a seat and really, really, really has it figured out from the get. If you look at Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott, those are 2 guys that really had that talent and kind of sat down behind that wheel and got it going. You're seeing Tyler Reddick kind of start building on that, getting it put together. But for the most part, a lot of these guys, it takes 4, 5, 6 years. I mean, look at Logano. It took him losing the ride there at Gibbs to go to Penske to really kind of get it figured out. And I think a lot of it's self-confidence. And I think a lot of it's understanding how to deal with the pressure. But at the end of the day, man, I tell you what, I'm looking out for the 2 of Brad Keselowski to go out and get it done in his final run in that 2 car. Maybe go out with a win there at Penske and carry that momentum into next year when he goes over to Roush. And one thing I am going to say on that is I really hope they do win a race over there at Roush Fenway next year with Keselowski. I think of any organization outside of the Wood brothers and Richard Petty Motorsports, those are the 3 guys that I really want to see get back to winning some races. I enjoy it. They're staples of the sport, the historic names, not only through car owners, but they're, again, as human beings and everything they've done for the sport. So really want to put some good juju on it and hope that Keselowski goes over there and helps build that team back up to what it was back in my day. And not too long ago, honestly. So I don't think they're that far off. I just think they need to get steered in the right direction, new set of eyes on it, and a little bit new talent behind the wheel, and a guy proven in Keselowski. So watch out for him. 5th place. Dark horse today, we're going to have 2 of them, man. Other guys that are taking their farewell tour and their car numbers today. And it's going to be the one of Kurt Busch. I think that you got to look out for him. If there's a guy there, again, that wants to carry some momentum into a race team for next year, it's going to be, Kurt Busch. I mean, the guy's got to get it done. He's got the 1 win there at Atlanta in July. We've seen him have a couple other really good runs there throughout the season. He's a veteran race car driver. He knows how to go out here and get it done at Phoenix. He has no fear. I will say he's one of the veterans to me that will still kind of put that car and slang it in there, compared to others that kind of will burp that gas a time or two when they get a little scared, man, when you tighten up about like that, But hey, at the end of the day, man, that's going to be that first one on the dark horse. Second one for me, man, you got to look out for that Wood Brothers, Ford over there with, Matt Benedetto, man. Doesn't yet have his plans lined up quite yet for next year. But I tell you there again, whether it be in the Truck Series or whether it be in the Xfinity Series, I really hope he finds a home. I know he can go out and win. I know he can go get the job done. I really hope he finds a home, man, because there again, I think he's a great personality and a great person to have in the sport of NASCAR as a whole. So, we're going to roll with him, man. But thank you guys again for tuning in, as always, to a short little snippet of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Man, if you haven't yet, like, share, follow all our social media out there. You can catch us on the gram. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us every Wednesday at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, right there in Thunderbolt, Georgia, man. And, you can also check it out. Usually on the weekends, Lawrence does the video on our YouTube channel, man. So make sure you go share and subscribe to that. Follow us, man. As I always say, it's all about charity for us over at Rubbin' and Grubbin', man, and Checkered Flag for Charity is doing really great. But I do want to give a really big shout out to every individual, every single person, every company, every business that came out there to Coach's Corner, man, and donated in to help save one of our own with the TP this year and everything. John and Adele Henderson there at Coaches, and there again with all the patrons and everybody that contributed, we're able to raise over $38,000, $35,000. So big amount of money there, man. And like I say again, that is all local money. Everybody in this community is doing their part to help each other. We need more of that in the world today, y'all, man. So just keep all these good things going and keep these good vibes going. And just wanted to make sure that everybody out there that did donate, did give some time, whether it was the time or whether it was the money, did give something into the charity event there up at Coaches on the TP, man. Big shout out to y'all. Love y'all for that. But definitely, man, big shout out to PJ Zuko over there at Green White Checkered on ESPN 104.3. We just got a show in. Weren't able to quite get it in on time this morning, but if you guys want, man, I'll send Lawrence a link. Lawrence has a link. He'll post it up on the video. You can check it out as well, man. Championship weekend NASCAR, baby. That's how we're doing it. 9-car all day long. Lawrence, had I been there on Wednesday, you already know I would have tried to get that car off of you. I probably would have given you my shoes and my shirt for the 9-car. But at the end of the day, man, love everybody out there. Thank you guys for the support, man. As always, hope we have a great Sunday. And there again, man, get ready for that siren to be, screaming and yelling up there in Dawsonville, Georgia, man. Love y'all.